What is going on, fight fans? Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Boxing. I'm your host, Jeff. We are here with a special episode, episode 8, the Anthony Joshua announcement on who he will fight this weekend coming up for his replacement after Dillian Whyte failed a VADA test for, I don't know what it was. I just saw an article saying it was a doping test that he failed. So we don't know what the story is behind that, but they decided to pull out of that fight. The Joshua side, what I had heard Eddie Hearn say earlier today, it was the Joshua camp who decided to pull out of that fight uh, immediately after hearing about the failed test by Dillian Whyte. So they were in scrambles on seeing who they could get for a replacement for uh, AJ. So, Ruiz was out there trying to put his name out there. I think David Chisora, which I didn't really see him put his name out there. He made a pretty funny video. But, so they were scrambling to see if they could save this fight and still get it airing this Saturday. And they managed to do that with the announcement today by Eddie Hearns this morning that Robert Helenius will be the replacement. Now, we had previously saw Robert Helenius in the U.S. get viciously knocked out by Deontay Wilder in one round. Slept out pretty bad. Since then, supposedly he's fought two more times. That fight was this year, so three fights this year. His last fight, weirdly enough, was last week, where he got a win in a TKO. Uh, it's weird that a guy who fought last week would be sanctioned to fight a week later. And how is that really? I don't know. It seems weird. I think this was a scramble to save this fight. I really feel like Eddie Hearns probably should have postponed it. I mean, because and what he had said earlier, he announced that they were going to do the Deontay Wilder fight, that was going to happen. But you can't always believe what Hearns says. Sometimes he'll say contracts are for sure, and we've seen it not go through in the past. But he has declared that, yeah, he is going to fight Deontay Wilder next. That's his next fight, but it won't be this year. They were aiming towards December, but something has, for some reason, has pushed that back. So that would have gave them the opportunity to honestly push this fight back instead of accepting a guy like Helenius. Maybe they could have definitely went and looked at a couple other opponents that they could have thrown in there that would have been a little bit more exciting for the fan base to see because I think it's not really this fight's not going to help AJ prepare for Deontay Wilder. We saw what Deontay already did to Robert. So to me, I don't know. It was a scramble to save the fight, and they did take it off of pay per view. It will not be a pay per view event. It will be live on DAZN. If you guys don't have DAZN, it's a pretty reasonable subscription if you're a boxing fan. Not so cheap in the U.S. as it is over in the U.K. Over here, it's like $24.99 a month, but I like my boxing, so I pay for it. You may not want to pay that to watch that fight because, in my opinion, it's not even worth $24.99. So, but still, I mean, I pay for it, so I'm going to watch it, and it's going to give me boxing all day in the UK, and then we're going to get a later fight in the US that I'll talk about later in the week. I don't even want to mention that fight because I'm super pumped for it. So, we'll just talk about this announcement today that we got. This isn't going to be anything long. We'll take a shot at the end of the show, man, but it's not. This is just going to be a quick announcement, just a short for everybody who may not have heard that he's fighting Robert Helenius, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably heard at this point if you're a boxing fan. But this is just my reaction to it. I don't think it's a good choice. I don't know how the boxing committee and the British Boxing Committee even sanctioned this fight with the guy just fighting last week. So I don't think I don't know what kind of fight it was for him. I heard it looked like he fought in a dungeon in the basement. Kind of like me, he must have been fighting in my basement and I didn't know about it. I wish I'd have known. I would have probably shown up for that fight. But that's what I've been hearing. And like Hearns, he was on a British talk show earlier that a buddy of mine, David Close, had shown me from the UK sports talk, where he was pretty much trying to explain why they chose Helenius, which, it seems like a desperation move. They felt like AJ had to fight this Saturday. They could have postponed it and knocked it into, I think he said, like October, which would have made the camp even longer. It's already been like a 12-week camp, supposedly, stuff like that for him. So they didn't want to extend the camp any further, and they felt like they needed him to fight this Saturday. They needed him in the ring. I don't know why, especially against a guy like Helenius. That's a tough. That's a tough, not a tough fight for AJ, but just a scramble move, in my opinion, by Hearns and them to try to fill this fight card because, and I think it had a lot to do if you go back to the Virgil Ortiz, uh, and staying on this fight falling through, and then they carried that on with the undercard bouncing up as your co-main event bounced up to your main event, which didn't turn out bad. Wasn't as entertaining as that fight, Virgil Ortiz and Sionis would have been. But I guess they figured, man, they couldn't take another main card loss like this, within within a 2 month period, pretty much less than a 2 month period, pretty much in a month span, they would have taken a two main card loss. So, they figured they had to fill that card. I like the fact that they did take it off pay-per-view because there's no way I'm paying to watch Anthony Joshua versus Robert Helenius. No way. I would not pay to watch that. I didn't pay to watch Deontay Wilder versus Helenius, if I'm correct. Wasn't that pay-per-view? Yeah, I didn't pay to watch that crap. I'm not gonna. Robert Helenius is not a pay-per-view fighter at heavyweight at all. But I mean, the choice to do what they did, I like to bounce it down to just a live event on DAZN, so the subscribers can get to watch it and not have to pay for it. Hopefully the undercard, which I don't know much about yet, I will find out more about that before we do our main show later in the week. But pretty much this was just me reacting to this, guys, telling you what I've heard, what the news is today for Anthony Joshua, which I posted on my site on Facebook, Bourbon and Boxing. If you guys get a chance, go over and join my group. Talk boxing with me, man. I love to talk it. Like I said, I'm not a professional, just a guy who hangs out in his basement and does this, man. But I love boxing. So if you love boxing, come join me, man. We'll drink together. We'll bullshit about boxing, whatever, man. All that fun stuff. But this is my reaction to the Anthony Joshua fight, who will now be fighting Robert Helenius on Saturday. That is going to be over in the UK in London. So if you're in the States, we're going to get an all-day event of boxing once again this weekend. I like those weekends. Seems to work out good for me. But anyways, let's take a shot because once again, this isn't Bourbon and Boxing. We don't have a shot of bourbon, right? Even if it's a small episode of Bourbon and Boxing. Once again, thank you guys for joining me. This is my reaction to the AJ versus Robert Helenius fight. My thoughts on it. Comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, about the decision to pick this, if this was a weak choice and a bad choice by Eddie Hearns and them. We'll see. But hey, let's take the shot. I am Jeff, your host. Welcome to Bourbon and Boxing. Thank you guys for tuning in.